Ciao guys and welcome back, it's your friend Luca, and in today's video I'm gonna share some information about the Lumix S5 after using it for almost 1 year, both for photography and videography professional gigs. Stay tuned. I've been thinking to make a video review about the Lumix S5 since a long time, but because this camera is so similar and close to the Lumix S1, I don't think it's really necessary to make a full video review. The only differences regarding the S5 and S1 are size and weight and ergonomic features, and also some minor differences in the recording options internally in the camera, where the Lumix S1 is much better. So in today's video I'm gonna share some useful information for both owners of the Lumix S5, but also for people that they would like to buy the camera and they're not sure 100% about this powerful little cinema camera, but also a photography camera. If you're a content creator, in my opinion the Lumix S5 is still the best camera you can buy right now, because nothing can beat this camera for the price point that is being sold right now. In fact, right now in Europe, for example, is going for around 1400 euros, and if you think about that the camera has almost the same spec as the new Sony a7 IV that is gonna be sold for around 2400 euros, so it's almost 1000 euro more than this camera, so you're gonna pay 1000 euro more to have a better autofocus on the Sony, and in my opinion it's not really worth, because the autofocus on this camera, the Lumix S5, but also all the Lumix S cameras, it's pretty usable. I don't love to use autofocus lenses because I find it faster to adjust focus myself with full manual lenses, and I don't like to play with the joystick. But for the rest, if you would like to go fully autofocus with the Lumix S cameras, the native lenses are pretty good. And if you are thinking that I'm making this video because I can possibly be affiliated with Panasonic or they send me something for free, you are totally wrong. I'm just making this video by myself and I'm trying just to help you understand if this is a good camera for you or not. And even then, if there were some problems about the camera or the ecosystem, I would have to tell you without any problems. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. So after this little introduction, let's start to talk about the cool features that are a little bit hidden in the Lumix S5 and something that you can discover just using the camera while working professionally. If you're wondering what's the maximum video resolution you can record with this camera internally without an external recorder, let me tell you that you can record up to 5.1K resolution videos. Before you get too excited regarding the 5K recording option, let me tell you that there are some downsides about it. For example, the codec used to record this format is the H265 5.1K 10-bit 420, that is going to be extremely compressed at 200 megabits per second, and it's going to be extremely heavy for your computer if you don't have one of the latest RTX GPU card. The second downside you're gonna have with this recording option is that you're gonna be limited to 30 frames per second. If you're gonna film everything at 30 frames per second, or you plan to use this recording option to create B-rolls where you want to move the camera around digitally in post-production, the 5.1K resolution mode is gonna be a great tool to use for our video production. To enable this function is extremely simple. You just have to switch from video mode to photo mode, and I suggest you to go in the manual mode. You go in the others photo settings 1, and you're gonna bind the 6K photo mode in one of the burst option. You can choose both the option 1 or 2 according to what's easier for you. And then in the last page in others photo 2, you're gonna choose 6K 4K photo. In the rec method you're gonna select the 6K S and S. So when you click the shutter button, it's gonna start the recording, and when you click it again, it's gonna stop the recording option. And it is important to remember that you have to activate the 6K photo mode just with the shutter button and not with the recording button, because if you click the recording button, it's gonna record with the video settings you have chosen in your camera and not with the 6K photo mode. So every time you wanna record 6K photo mode, you just switch to the quick selector to 1 or 2, and then you click the shutter button. And now let's start to talk about ergonomic. I love this camera, it is really small and lightweight, but there are a few downsides that I don't really like about this camera. For example, between video and the custom options there is a really annoying S and Q that is for slow and quick, so it's like internal slow motion recording option that nobody use because the bitrate it's pretty low with this setting, so everyone just use the normal recording options and then slow down the video in post-production. So this S&Q is really annoying in this position because in case you want to bind something to the C1, and for example you want to film in 4K 25p in video mode and 4K 50p in the custom one, you will have this S&Q in between that is really annoying. So you're gonna be pretty much limited to work just with the custom bottoms, so C1, C2 and C3, where you have also to bind photography setting in one of these in case you are an hybrid shooter. For example, this problem is not present on the Lumix S1 because we don't have this super annoying and useless S&Q, and sadly we don't have also a quick lever that is gonna switch from photo and video with the movement of the thumb like we used to see in Fujifilm cameras. Keep talking about the problems of the ergonomics. I don't know if you notice it, but I'm holding the camera with a wristband because I found that this is the best way to use the Lumix S5, because this flippy screen, if you have a camera strap, it will be always on the way in case you want to take photos with different angles. So the best way to use this camera in my opinion is to use the flippy screen closed and use the camera like a Fujifilm X Pro. So every time I need it I just put it in my eye, and when I need to take a photo from a different angle I just open like this, and this is gonna be extremely fast and quick. But if you keep the camera with the screen open, you have to twist like this and then twist like this, so it's a little bit cumbersome and I find it a little bit slower. For example, during a few weddings I did in the past, I really didn't like the experience of the flippy screen with the camera strap, so the solution for me was to use a wristband or a camera strap that goes like this and is gonna hang the camera in vertical position. And keep in mind that this flippy screen is gonna be extremely annoying also if you're gonna film handheld with the camera strap. So this camera it's pretty good regarding the overall design and size and weight, but where it shines I think it's on gimbals and for tripod shots. I think there is a reason why Sony didn't put a flippy screen in their A7 line cameras, because the tilted screen is much better for photography and for handheld video work. Another sad news about Lumix S5 is that this camera cannot record in cinema 4K at 50 or 60 frames per second, so you're gonna limit it to Ultra HD. This is kind of annoying for me because I love to film in cinema 4K, so most of the time I end up with two different aspect ratio of files, so I will have Ultra HD for 4K 50p and cinema 4K for 25p. It's time to talk about the micro HDMI port. All the Lumix S cameras have a delay in the HDMI port, so in case you plan to work with freelancer first IC like a focus puller and that they're gonna use a wireless transmitter is gonna send the video output to their external monitor, there is gonna be a delay that can really compromise the shooting day, and it is not a real problem if you work with the camera yourself, if you grab focus yourself, but if there is another person involved that is not used to this delay, it can be problematic on set, so keep that in mind. And I think that if you can afford a freelance first IC in your video, you probably can afford a cinema camera, so it's better to rent a real cinema camera for those type of gigs and not rely on these little mirrorless cameras. This is a nice one. The Lumix S5 has an extremely cool feature that is gonna improve drastically the duration of the battery. The camera is gonna save a lot of battery because there are no screens on that are the main source of battery drain in mirrorless cameras. So every time you need to snap a picture, you just put the camera at your eye level, you're gonna be able to take snappy photos. So to enable this setting is extremely simple. You just go in the menu, you go to the power save mode, you select the power save live viewfinder shooting, and then you choose method of activation, live view, while recording standby. Okay, then you go back, and in the same page of monitor display you choose eye sensor, you set the sensitivity to eye, and then here in the live viewfinder monitor switch you choose the automatic switch. That's all. So every time you're gonna close the flippy screen, you see the viewfinder is off and now it's on. While if you use the camera with the flippy screen visible, you're gonna still have the quick switch, but of course you're gonna use more battery and the camera is gonna last less. I filmed a couple of weddings this summer at 33-35 degrees Celsius and the S5 didn't overheat at all. I was recording in 4K 10-bit without any problems, so while they put a record limitation in the camera, I don't think you're gonna have a problem of overheating with the Lumix S5 in case you're gonna film in a really hot situation. A sad story for the anamorphic shooters, the S5 is not able to record in 6K open gate like the Lumix S1 and S1H. So in case you want to film in full frame anamorphic mode, the S1 and S1H are a better buy for you. But I have to say that the rolling shutter in those modes, it's pretty high. In my opinion, the 4K anamorphic with all the Lumix S cameras is gonna look way better than full frame open gate 6K anamorphic mode. And finally, the last and most important thing to know about the Lumix S5 is that this camera boot up pretty fast, faster than the Lumix S1. Look at this. On. It is extremely fast. In this case you're gonna see a pop-up menu because I have a manual lens, my lovely Voigtlander 40mm f2, and so this is a great advantage of the Lumix S5 over the S1, because in case you like to capture moments on the go, for example street photography, wedding photography or event photography, this camera is gonna work extremely well for you, but you have to live with the problem of the low resolution viewfinder and the flippy screen that can slow down the moment of capturing moments. So this is extremely good feature of the S5. I would love to see some firmware upgrade for the S1 to improve the snappiness of the camera, but I think the problem is the CPU of the camera. Maybe on the S1 they used a slower CPU and on the S5 a newer one. It's a pity. And here you have some interesting things about the Lumix S5. If you found this video useful, I would really appreciate if you can like the video. You don't have to subscribe because, I mean, YouTube is small, we all swim in the same pool and one day you're gonna end up in another video of me. So don't subscribe, it's not needed. And I almost forgot another important thing about the S5, the shutter. It sounds a little bit weak. I don't know if you can hear it. No memory card, damn it. I don't script my videos, guys. All random. That's why sometimes it's difficult to follow what I'm saying, because I improvise. So this is the sound of the shutter of the S5. Wow. Without a lens it's worse than I expected. Let me put a lens. Is it clipping? Okay, maybe it is better. And this is with the lens. A bit better. So this shutter really reminds me the sound of the Sony a7 III, and I'm not sure how long it's gonna last, because for experience I can tell you that the shutter of the Sony a7 III can break, and I mean Panasonic didn't rate this shutter for the shutter count. For example, the S1 is rated for 400,000 shutter counts, but we don't have any info about the Lumix S5, so I keep you updated in case something is gonna happen. I don't know if you missed it, but in the past the IBIS of my Lumix S5 was broken after a couple of months, and luckily they replaced it under warranty. So let's see how long this camera is gonna last. Hopefully a really long time. So this is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Ciao! Oh, it's the rolling shutter.